Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We all know that Angela Constance is a bit weird. She has a strange worldview. But her latest wheeze is one that is not only bonkers, and I think anyone who hears it understands how bonkers it is, but is absolutely and utterly dangerous. At a time when police numbers are falling, when there's no recruitment, when resources are stretched to the limit, Angela Constance wants to empty the jails. She wants to stop sending people to prison. Is society not bad enough and rampant enough with crime that not taking these people off the streets, not punishing them, not removing dangerous individuals from society is now the correct thing to do? Of course, it doesn't affect her. She lives in her gated communities and in her ivory tower. But for the vast majority of people, this will be the worst decision ever made by any Justice Minister in the history of Scotland. So it's no surprise it comes from the SNP, really, is it? Let's have a look to see how madcap and dangerous this woman is and why it should be rejected. Here goes. Again, this is one of those policies you think, who on earth would come up with this policy? Who on earth would think it was a good idea? And who on earth would go and ask people to go and say, hey, let's go and do this? And then these people will say, yeah, sounds like a great idea. Let's empty the prisons. Let's allow dangerous prisoners out onto the streets. Let's make crime ramp up to unsustainable levels. And at the same time, what we'll do is we'll cut police numbers. These people are enemies of the state. They quite literally are. They all need to be rounded up, put into a camp, tried for crimes against humanity, and then get somebody like Albert Pierpoint's grandson out, pull him out of retirement, and get him back in the old family trade. The SNP wants to empty prisons as Angela Constance's admission exposes weak justice agenda. The Scottish Conservatives' Russell Findlay has blasted the Justice Secretary for comments she made to a penal reform group. Makes a change, not penile reform group. But there she is. She is mad bonkers. What is wrong with her? What goes through her head that she thinks this is a good idea? If you're having trouble with prison numbers, build more prisons or bring back the ultimate sanction. That'll reduce numbers. Only cost you 15 quid for a bit of rope and a bit of wood. Kick the stool away. Job's done. Got new room in the cell then, haven't you? Especially for the very worst of them. The SNP has been accused of wanting to empty Scottish jails after bombshell comments from the Justice Minister emerged last night. Angela Constance said the country had to stop sending more people to prison in a conversation with a penal reform group. Oh yes, because the last thing you want to do is to take criminals off the streets and take them away from where they're committing all these crimes and where they're endangering people. That's the last thing you want to do. You want to make sure these guys are rewarded and told that they're doing a fine job and to carry on killing or whatever it is that they're doing. Hey ladies, you're getting hard by this man, but it's okay, we're not taking him away. We're patting him on the back, telling him he's doing a sterling job, and be ready for when he comes back for seconds. This is what's going on in the head of the SNP, and it is wrong. And it's the SNP voters who are doing this. They keep voting these people in. And if it's an SNP voter sitting there and seeing that they're getting attacked and the police are doing nothing, and they'll still vote for it because they think, yes, it's a price worth paying for an independence that will never come. People need to start seeing what the SNP... Never mind the SNP politicians. They're mad, right? They're bad. They're mad, bad, evil. They should not be there. But look at them. Look at the voters. Look at the people who vote SNP and treat them accordingly. They're the ones doing this. They're the ones enabling these things to happen. If you vote SNP, you're pro-ped. You're pro-predator. You're pro-crime. You're pro-people getting killed. Because that's what you're doing. You're pro the destruction of your economy. You're pro the destruction of your environment. You're pro the destruction of the future of your children. And you keep voting for it. So let's not blame the politicians, bad as they are. It's the SNP voters who keep putting this shit on people. Anyway, Minutes from the meeting show she was exploring a range of actions in a bid to reduce the prison population. Death penalty. There you go. The comments have been slammed by Scottish Conservatives who obtained the documents through freedom of information legislation. Justice spokesman Russell Findlay said it exposed the SNP's weak justice agenda, which puts criminals first. I suggest you to build a big jail. Into that jail, you have cells that are big enough to put a bed, a toilet, and not much else. You have a door, no windows, you have a door, and in that door is a little slot, and that's where you put the food in every day. And you can probably get them maybe 5 foot wide. You can build hundreds in a small build. You just build them up, right? 5 foot wide, boom, 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 boom. And there you go. They don't get to mix with other prisoners. They don't get to see another human face. And then they just sit in there and they stay in there until they've learnt their lesson. Until they're begging to come out. Until they're begging that they know they will never break the law again. Because the next time they go in for good. I've got to say, the Americans' 3 strikes and you're out rule is the best policy. Bring it. You know, you can commit a crime, you go to jail. Commit a crime, go to jail. Commit a crime a third time. And even if that third time is stealing a biscuit, it's jail. That's 3 times. You're out. Done. And you get life, meaning the remainder of your natural life in prison. And you never get out. But you don't get holiday camp prisons. You get, 8x5, 1 bed and a shitter. And that's it. 3 squares a day and you're done. And you have that for the remainder of your life. Once you start putting in that kind of punishment, people stop committing crimes. Anyway, the minutes of Miss Constance highlighted the crux of the problem is that we need to stop sending people to custody. No, you just need to build more prisons. And she's also minuted as having saying there are a range of actions we are doing for prison population, looking at short, medium and long-term solutions. Build more prisons. Lock them up. Put the criminals away. Make society safer. Don't allow criminals to wander the streets committing crimes with impunity at the same time as you are deliberately cutting police numbers. You are deliberately endangering people's lives. To do anything else is a complete... How can we put this? It's not... You're not just not doing your job. You're actively working to harm people. This isn't, a failure to act. It's not a failure to do your job. You're doing the complete opposite of your job. And you are deliberately putting people in harm's way and knowing so and doing nothing about it. That is evil. That is a crime, surely. Mr. Russell said, this memo reveals the SNP's real agenda when it comes to criminal justice in public. They claim to be on the side of the victims, but in private they admit their true intention, which is to empty Scotland's prisons and put criminals back on the streets. The Justice Secretary's confession behind closed doors will come as no surprise to crime victims or the law-abiding majority of Scots who suffer the impact of the SNP's pursuit of weak justice which puts criminals first. Indeed, as we know, it takes men who are children and releases them free. They don't do a day in court, they don't do a day in jail, they get given a community sentence. They have to do a bit of litter picking. Hiring a child, the punishment in Scotland is a bit of litter picking. It's a joke, but it's a joke brought on by the SNP and, like I say, more importantly, like the voters of the SNP. Imagine how they'd feel if it was their daughter or granddaughter. Would they still vote SNP then, knowing that that's the punishment? A grown man could do that to a child, and the punishment is a bit of litter picking. Data suggests there were 7,303 people in Scottish prisons at the end of last year. This rose steadily and peaked in December when 7,981 inmates were recorded. It's subsequently fallen to just above 7,900. It needs to be at least double, if not quadruple that number, to make society safer. Put them all in prison. Remove criminals. And remove them for a long time. Despite the rise, the proportion of criminals being sent to prison plummeted to a 7-year low. No one is surprised. They escape jail. Every time you see something unusual, so-and-so escapes jail. He escapes a jail sentence. Nobody. This escaping a jail sentence should be the rarity. There should be very sound circumstances where that happens. The norm should be jail. And if you haven't got enough room in jail, build more jails. Build lots of them. They don't have to be super big jails. Just build several jails all across the country. Small ones. Small jails. Or build a massive, massive supermax and put all the bad ones, all the real nasty ones, in one massive supermax where they cannot move. When they're chained all days. Make them suffer for what they've done. Punishment shouldn't just be locking these people up. It should be locking them up so they know they're locked up. Justice must be done and seen to be done. The Scottish Government and the SNP, created Scottish Sentencing Council, have faced accusations of being soft on crime. Tell us. Data released earlier this month suggests a record number of criminals are avoiding any type of punishment for committing crimes. There is no punishment in Scotland. If I was going to commit a crime, I'd go to Scotland to do it. Chances are, first, I won't get caught because there's so few policemen. Second, if I am unlucky enough to get caught, chances are they'll screw up the prosecution so badly because they don't know what they're doing, so that'll be let off. And even if I was found guilty, the court will probably say, well, you know, it's your first time offence, blah, blah, blah. We'll just give you a little social order. Go and do some litter picking. That's fine. 3 bodies. Bit of litter picking. Anyway, in the 4 years between 2018 and 2022, 1,400 convicted criminals were handed an absolute discharge. So you're convicted and given an absolute discharge. This has included 17 thugs found guilty of serious assault and attempted murder, and 12 convicted of sexual assault. Convicted of sexual assault and given an absolute discharge? Scottish justice is a joke. There will be a reckoning. I think there's definitely going to be vigilance. There will be a vigilantism epidemic. I think these people who don't go to prison will go back into local communities, and the local communities will say, we've had enough of this, and they'll grab these guys or whatever they've done, and they'll take them out and they'll just lynch them. And to be fair, it's all they deserve, isn't it? But let's start seeing that and see what happens. And then maybe someone like her will realise what a complete and utter, awful, evil, stupid, immoral, inappropriate woman for that position is. She's a virtue signalling, do-gooding wastrel who is, by her actions and inactions, deliberately harming the people of Scotland. And coming up, I don't suppose anyone's surprised. We've seen the punishments. We know what goes on. They want to release everyone. They want Scotland to be the Wild West. They want it to be a crime-ridden desolation, a wastrel, a scorched earth, because they know they're not going to win the next election. They know they're going out of power, and they want whoever follows to have an unrulable, disastrous, third world, failed state. And that's what they're doing. And I think the time has come that there needs to be some kind of revolution and stop these people from deliberately destroying everything. There's another story coming up, possibly next, I might do it next, where they're looking to destroy the one thing Scotland is world famous for. And they're looking to absolutely destroy it deliberately. But until then, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Goodbye.